I think I have you muted.
Can we unmute her, or does she have to do it herself?
There we go.
Okay, got you loud and clear. Thank you. Adam, you're ready? Just have a few more things to do here, Jacqueline, and then we'll get underway.
All right.
You need to switch with the keyboards.
That's okay. I'll make it work. That's okay.
Okay.
That's okay.
You ready? Well, good morning, Jacqueline. Thanks for joining us with us today, and thanks for being so patient. We'll just have a quick interview. I'm not sure if Commissioner Ibarra will be coming in midway or what, but myself and then Commissioner Richardson will to ask all the really hard questions. And so what we have you volunteering for, and thank you for doing that, is an unexpired term that will expire in April of 2023 for the Albany County Historic Preservation Board. Could you give us a little bit of background about yourself? And I know we've read your the application that you submitted. So anything you'd like to tell us?
Hi, sure. So my undergrad is in archaeology, anthropology, and my master's is in history, particularly historic preservation. And I've done anything that you could think of with historic preservation. I had a really great program in my early historian career. I've done grants, both state and national. I've done historic preservation nominations as well. I also have experience doing oral histories and collecting histories and binding local histories. And so I've lived here for 6 months next week. And so since I've been here, I've been really interested in the history of Laramie because I grew up kind of coming out to Wyoming and just being kind of entranced by the beauty of it and the history of it. And so I really just volunteered to just go to a meeting just because I was wanted to be involved. And then Karen Bard, the chairperson of the Albany County Historic Preservation Board, reached out to me and asked if this would be something I would be interested in being a part of the board to preserve not only Laramie, but Albany County as well. So that's why I'm here.
Thank you so much, Jacqueline. I appreciate it. Mr. Richardson, any questions?
No, but I think that we've never had anyone volunteer who is as qualified as you. So, and what I will say is that since you're the only volunteer, you're pretty likely to get the job.
Well, that's exciting.
Well, and Jacqueline, I am the liaison to the Albany County Historic Preservation Board, and I am really impressed with that group. They are passionate, committed, interested, and really have they've headed down the path of a historic preservation plan just beginning. So you'll be right in on the middle of all that, or the beginning of all that. And so that's just a really exciting time, I think, especially with your background, like Commissioner Richardson said. Oh my goodness. I'm not sure we could have dreamed up qualifications for somebody willing to volunteer like yours. There are meetings, of course, once a month, and probably with that group, as things come up, and would that be any problem for you? And I'm sure you've talked with Chairperson Bard.
I did. That should not be a problem.
Okay. And so since it's an unexpired term, we'll do this again in April of 2023. But Any last minute thoughts for us? We really do appreciate your willingness to volunteer and to be engaged in it. And it's exciting times, historic preservation in Albany County.
Yeah, very, very exciting. I'm very excited to get started and be a part of the team.
Awesome. So this is Commissioner Richardson was really correct. The process is somebody from the clerk's office will reach out to you after the meeting. We'll make appointments at the end of our meeting, and then away we go. And then I'll look forward to seeing you at one of the Albany County Historic Preservation Board meetings coming up.
Wonderful. Sounds great.
Thanks for your time, Jacqueline. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Started.
Yeah, let's just do it. Megan, good morning. How are you this morning?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
Well, thanks. Hey, thank you for joining us this morning, and thanks for putting your name in for the Pilot Hill Inc. Board of Directors opening to fill an unexpired term. The expiration date of this term will be September of 2021. I'm pretty sure you probably knew all of that, but would you just, we read your application. Would you kind of give us a little bit of background on why you'd like to join and what you think you might bring to it, Megan, please?
Why I'd like to join? Yes, I think it's a great new aspect of our community to have the public land so close and accessible to members of the community like myself who like to get out into the hills and ride bikes or hike or ski up at the Happy Jack area. I have quite a bit of experience on a variety of different boards of directors, as well as advising nonprofit and elected boards of directors. And so I think that experience will help me to be a good steward of this land and to help the board as it moves forward in developing trails and public access.
Thank you, Megan. Commissioner Richardson, any questions for Megan?
Well, she has sat in that chair before as a hearing officer in the Board of Equalization.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I had to tell Heber to be quiet a couple times, didn't I, Heber?
Well, yeah, probably. And it's weird because,
Sorry?
well, I was just saying you did, and rightfully so, because there's less back and forth in a Board of Equalization hearing. It's oddly like a court hearing. It's weird.
Yes. Yes.
It was something that I had to learn.
Yes, and it was, I think I was there on one of your first Board of Equalization and it was
My first one.
Yeah, I don't think, it's not a commissioner meeting. It's a totally different scene. So,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate that you applied. The Pilot Hill Board of Directors could be the most fun and most interesting board that we make appointments to in the whole county. That's a cool project, and you don't get stuck in the mud on it. At least not too stuck. There'll be things happening that are fun and good for everybody. So I kind of envy you.
Yeah.
It's complicated too. I have to say I'm a little well, I'd like to read all the agreements. I know there are agreements between the county and the university and the bike net. I was looking at some of the special use agreements that are in your packet last night. It's a complicated relationship, and it's doubly complicated because it's public land then managed by a private entity. And I think there are some problems and issues that board really needs to be careful as they move forward in managing the land with the public access.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of those complications I think the board can make go away. actually. Those layers exist in part because it was put together piece by piece. You know, like that school section, we leased that, and now I think that when it's all together, it doesn't have to be as complicated. But still, the fact that it's private, I guess, I don't think that the private board has to assume any liability or anything. I think that using public land is kind of at the user's risk. Although I don't know if people understand that. But
Yeah.
you know.
And just so you're clear too, I'm not getting on the board so I can give the board legal advice. I mean, I'm assuming the board has its own attorney, and it would be a conflict and probably unethical of me to start advising the board as its lawyer. That's like giving yourself legal advice, and if I'm wrong, then what is the board going to sue itself? So I'm careful of those boundaries. I want to assure you that I won't be acting like I'm the board's attorney, but there are some issues that, you know, it's not just, you know, liability, sure, but also there's some BLM land, and what is allowed on BLM land maybe is not what this Pilot Hill, I don't know. I just, there could be some issues that it would be good to be careful moving forward is my only point.
Yeah, it's a learning curve. Oh, it's the learning curve too. Anyway, if I were you, I wouldn't want to be the attorney either, because that's not any fun.
Yeah.
It's way more
Let someone
fun
who else do that job. Yeah.
Yes.
What can I ask? What is the relationship between the board slot I'm filling and the commissioners? I'm not sure I'm clear on that.
So Megan, my understanding is that the university and Albany County Commissioners have the prerogative to name two people to that board of directors. And in my thought, that is to oversee and look out for not only Pilot Hill, but also the county's interests. For 6 months, we have not had a board member that was tied to the county. Commissioner Ibarra sits on the board, but only as a liaison. And so this position will be the first one in 6 months that the county has put in. And then I believe we'll have another one in September when the nominations go forward to try to get another person on the board. I would like to operate in the full complement of our positions. And so, yeah, there are things that have been changing. For instance, previous to this year, Pilot Hill made the lease payment directly to the state. We're now going through the county. The Pilot Hill will give money to the county. The county will make the payment to the state. That seems to be a cleaner process for us, and then also more in line with the arrangement as it is traditionally. So, yeah, but you will be a full board member on Pilot Hill, and you'll just be one that the county has selected.
Okay.
Hey, Sarah, I see you have your hand up. Do you have something for us?
Commissioner Gosar, with your permission, I just would add a little bit to that conversation with Megan in the hopes of helping to clarify if that's appropriate.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Thank you, Megan. Sarah Brown Matthews, I'm the executive director with Pilot Hill. I'm looking for my camera here. Sorry, I'm not on video yet. Megan, I did also just want to acknowledge, as you probably know through your research, the entire oversight committee was initially appointed by the commissioners back in 2018. So all 8 of the members of that initial oversight committee were representing the commissioners as appointees to the board. We transitioned to a Pilot Hill nonprofit just last year, and 5 of the initial appointed members remained on the board. to continue to represent the county and to help with the transition and initial management of the Pilot Hill Inc. nonprofit. One of those members has decided to step down early because his other responsibilities required that he focus his attention in another direction. So we do have 5 members of the board that are appointed and have been, at least in the past, appointed by the commission. You would be filling one of those slots. And as Commissioner Gosar pointed out, Sue Ibera is also a liaison to the board, appointed by the commission, an active member, not only on the board, but on a committee that I think she is enjoying, I hope, but is requiring a lot of her time and attention. So I just want to applaud her for all the work she's already done.
Thank you, Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. Commissioner Rivera, any questions for Megan?
Megan, do you own a bike?
Several.
Yes, I know. Only question, I don't know if it's been asked. The Pilot Hill board meets on Thursday, the third Thursday of every month from 9 to essentially 11, maybe a little after. Will that be a problem for you?
It won't be a problem. It will be a problem if the third Thursday is this Thursday, because I have a conflict that I probably can't get out of. But other than that, it is this Thursday, right? Yes.
Correct.
But moving forward from this Thursday, no, I can make sure I have time in my schedule.
Wonderful.
Well, Megan, I guess the process going forward is you're the interviewee today, and we'll go through the commission agenda, make a nomination, and if you're voted in, then somebody from the courthouse will call you and tell you. And I'm so appreciative of your willingness to volunteer your time. Most of the work, or a lot of the work in the county, could not be done without volunteers. And I do appreciate your background and expertise and your willingness to be part of that board. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Have a nice morning.
Okay, you too. Thanks so much.
You.
I apologize to the room. I didn't see that we were to be here at 9.
It's interesting that the transition from, it was the funding oversight board, right?
Right.
And now it's a nonprofit board. So it's interesting the transition from one to the other. And it's totally possible that a completely different set of skills is needed to manage it going forward versus creating and establishing it, right?
It's on our agenda today to discuss the combination of the 2 leases and also some current concerns with the liability insurance that came up
Yeah.
in an ongoing kind of a way. So
Right.
it's on your agenda today to start that discussion.
All right. Well, look
That
forward to
means
that.
Sarah will be on for the duration.
I know, poor Sarah.
It's good.
Actually, I'm going to sneak away and go fix a lock on a gate, and I'll be back. Thank you all.
Do you want me to text you when we're getting close to you?
That would be lovely. I hope to not be gone for more than half an hour, but we have a lock that was left unlocked and I need to fix that.
Okay, I will text you if we haven't seen you come back.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
And we only had the one person who applied for the other board.
Yeah, she's like a historian and an anthropologist
Yeah, I
and an
know, I saw her.
archaeologist.
Yeah, we're lucky to get her, huh?
Right. It's
Yeah.
like if you were hiring for that job, you couldn't get somebody more qualified.
Exactly. And this is volunteer.
Right, yeah.
Jennifer, did you need to say or Ori?
Or.
Morning, Roy. How are you?
Good, how you doing?
I'm doing well. Hey, morning, Art. How are you? Check the gentleman from the Forest Service. Did we get a hold of him? You know. Okay. Okay. Yeah, we're still a couple minutes. He might be just an on-time arrival.
Conservation injury. Too much.
I always, somebody said that, I got a text yesterday, or Johnson, Lindy Johnson's husband died yesterday.
No.
And so I was just, I had texted Huber and said,
Yeah.
because you know, when you live, you've lived here forever too, when you live in Laramie forever, you're like, yeah, what happened? I just saw them not very long ago.
Yeah.
I know, it makes me sad too.
Morning, Kayla. How are you this morning?
Good, how are you?
Well, thank you.
Always so great to see you, Kayla.
These are ones we have to cite back. Here, actually, there's not. Maybe I don't
No,
have
there
the real
isn't.
ones. Yes, what is his name?
This seems like kind of a light road.
Yeah,
You know.
because I said to him, yeah, he called. I had emailed him. Yeah, Albany is good.
Adam, do you know if Rob Roberts is registered for the drill? Or you might be moving up. Might just be right on up here in a minute. I don't know if we can stand it.
Good thing you're here.
Right. Okay. Adam, are you ready? Oh, excuse me, I do. Okay. Are you ready, Adam? It's still going. Okay. How about you, Debbie? Richard?
Yes.
Yep.
Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the County Commissioners meeting for May 18th, 2021, the day after tax day. So it's nice to have just a few vouchers, not a whole bunch of vouchers to pay. And I'd like to call the regular meeting to order at 9:30. Commissioner Rivera,
Here.
Commissioner Richardson,
Here.
and Commissioner Gose are also here. Would you please join me in stand for the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 3, public hearing, we have none. Item 4, comments from the public. Would anybody in the room like to make a public comment? If not, then we'll go online. Right, good morning.
Thank you, Commissioners. We went out for RFP on the cleaning contracts for the 4 buildings a while back. Today, we've only had one company pick up the paperwork for the courthouse cleaning. And I'm concerned because they're due by 3 p.m. on Thursday. So if we've only had one pick it up by then, I was wondering if we can somehow extend that deadline and maybe possibly reach out on some social media platforms. I just don't know if we're getting enough advertising out there to people that know that we have this open by just, going with one publication, or a couple publications in the newspaper. And I just don't know where we can reach out in social media. Maybe did we ever get it on the website, Jackie? Do you know? Or Adam?
We advertise.
On the website. Okay. So I don't know how we can do this, but I'd like to have some choices of maybe a couple, 3 or 4 different companies to come in and do that. But so we're probably gonna have to extend it at some point in time. I don't know the right way to do that.
Jennifer, please.
Commissioners, we can, because the RFP period hasn't ended, we could do an addendum to extend the closing date by a couple weeks and send that out to everyone who has applied to pick up the packets so that everybody who's picked it up knows. And then Roy can reach out on social media. We can do whatever we need to do otherwise to get the word out that it's still open and available. But because it hasn't closed, I think we can do that addendum to extend the due date.
Thank you. Thank you, Roy. Jennifer. Are we having the same struggle with the auditor and the engineering and?
We have had similar struggles, and I don't know if it's because people don't know or people don't have the ability to apply. I think currently we have one response for engineering. With the RFPs for drug court that went out, there was one response for the juvenile treatment, both one response for the group treatment, one response for the individual juvenile treatment. There was one response for the psychiatric nurse practitioner. I don't think there were any responses to the drug testing services. And I don't know if that's because Stitches in Grand Avenue or whoever else in town was unaware that it was out for bid. I don't know why, but we have not had great response to these last RFPs that went out.
Thank you guys for letting us know about that. Any other public comment online? Any public comment? Yep, I saw him. Thank you, Adam. All right, I'd entertain a motion to close public comment.
I move that we close the public comment period.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 5, disclosures. Commissioner Barra, any
We do
disclosures?
not have them.
Commissioner Richardson, anything?
I have none.
And I have no disclosures, other than the fact that I won't be voting on the downtown clinic ERAP, nor will I be signing that document
Correct.
later in the discussion. Item 6, considerations of changes to the agenda. Are there any considerations of changes? Please come on up. Thank you.
Commissioner Gosar, our office needs to add a resolution to appoint a special prosecutor to the agenda this time. And because Becky is handling this and she has to be in court, we're wondering if we could add it to the beginning of the regular agenda rather than to the end of the regular agenda.
Sure. Becky, what time do you have to be in court?
At 10.
At 10? Could we put Becky in front of you? Thank you so much. I appreciate it. We'll have you here in just a minute.
I
Becky.
appreciate it.
Any other changes to the agenda? So Jackie, could we put that item 9, please? And then we'll make Mr. Siegel 9A. Thanks. Okay. Any other changes to the agenda? Seeing none, all those, or I'd entertain a motion for approval of the consent agenda.
I so move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 8. Discuss the proposed land exchange between Notch Peak Ranch, Albany County, and the Forest Service. Mr. Robertson, I see that you're on. Good morning. The floor is yours. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Hi, good morning. How are you?
I'm well, thanks.
Good. Nice to join you this morning. So I can give you a real quick rundown on the why. And the request came in from the Notch Peak Ranch, owned by the Bro Group, and Pat Bro. Their goal in proposing the exchange was to actually to consolidate their holdings, consolidate their ranch. These are parcels in question. The private parcels in question are separated. One is actually in Carbon County outside of Saratoga, and then there are two to three, trying to think now, I believe there's 3 separate parcels in question they would like to trade to us in exchange for a block of land that is surrounded by private lands, not accessible to the public at this time, and they feel it would consolidate their property, make it easier to manage, and also to control. Apparently there are some trespass issues that come in. That's not their biggest concern, but that they feel that the management of the ranch would be best suited by that trade. So why we are considering it primarily is that it is a block of land that while we have access to it to manage it, work with the ranch really well when we need to go inspect the property, it is a property that we are not able to give the public access to. It's surrounded by the ranch owners and the private landowners around it control the access to our parcel of land there. So they propose a large portion of that block of land that's under National Forest System lands to go to the ranch and come under their management as a private land, and that there were those parcels that they're offered up to trade. So those would then now have legal public access. One of them that's probably the best benefit for public is along Soldier Creek, which is in northern Albany County, near right where Horseshoe Creek and Three Cripples comes in on the eastern side of our forest. And there is currently, the public does use it for camping. As Jack Gaby, the ranch manager, says, he doesn't have time to drive over there all summer long and run people off. Nor do I think they really desire to. But they do desire to have that parcel come under our management so that we can then manage it to avoid any kind of riparian damage, which I don't think there's a whole lot right now, but that is a concern of the ranch, is that they're unable to manage the camping and the public use there, where we would be better suited to do so. And our intention would be to allow that to be dispersed camping, but to do whatever management we needed to make sure that we're not damaging riparian areas with the use. And that another portion, they call it the Rattlesnake, is on the Arapahoe Trail, which is an ATV and a UTV trail. It just would provide us a little more control and a little better opportunity to keep that trail maintained and improved, because that trail, while it is our responsibility, it does go through several parcels of private land, and we do have some issues between the public and the private landowners. And so that would give us another opportunity as well. So we're still really in the beginning stages. We're moving along. We got to the point where we're getting closer to seeking public input, in which case all of the commissioners in the counties affected, you guys will all have an opportunity to provide any comments you have, as well as part of the NEPA process. And should we go through that, the whole process, we're looking at potentially completing the exchange in 2022. As the summary pointed out, I believe Carbon County does lose a little bit of their tax base. We have let them know and have sent them the same package that we have sent you guys, the Albany County as well. And it looks like Carbon County will lose about 680 acres in, excuse me, that they would lose a few acres. I'm trying to see, I'm looking at my page here. They lose about 124 acres, where Albany County actually will gain net gain of 617 taxable acres as well. So in that, and like I said, we haven't heard from Carbon County, but it is important that we hear from the counties before we go public so that we can address any concerns. I think that's all I wanted to just share. If I've missed something or if you have any questions, I'd certainly be glad to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Robertson. Commissioners, any questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
the wheels are turning in my head. But this is very early on, and so and my thoughts aren't particularly significant. It just makes me think about all these issues. I probably like it. Like the tax base issue is ag land doesn't get taxed at a very high rate anyway. That's not really too big of an issue. Anyway, so we'll look forward to seeing it as it develops.
Yeah, Mr. Robertson, I guess access for me is always an issue that people have with their public lands. It sounds like this adds to the access, and I'll look more forward to the more formal process. So thank you for being willing to join us. I know you're at you have other things to do this morning, and I will hope you have a wonderful day. If you have something else, we'll let you have the floor, and then if not, we'll send you on to your day.
No, not at this time. I do have a question. And I know Frank Romero meets with you folks more often. Well, it's the first time I've had the opportunity to meet with you. But we do have some activities going on the Laramie Peak unit of the district, which is, you guys share that with a little bit of Platte and some Converse County, but the majority of it is in Albany County. And I certainly would be willing to send updates either through Frank or join myself, or just through, just through a little summary update that I could send through email, and then join if you had questions. And thought I'd take the opportunity to ask if that is something that the commissioners would like to see from us, from at least from time to time, or annually or quarterly, or whatever your preference might be.
Yeah, I think we would. And at least the email, Miss, it would be great. And then just like you reached out to me, Mr. Robertson, if there's something that one of the commissioners would like to hear more about, I'll have you email back to you, and away we go, trying to get you on our schedule.
That sounds great. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Mr. Robertson. Have a great morning.
Okay, and you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. 9, please, the resolution. Thank you.
Is it all right if I take my mask off?
Sure. You bet.
Thank you. I appreciate the commissioners getting us on the agenda quickly. The Albany County Attorney's Office is requesting a resolution to appoint a special prosecutor. We have a situation where a juvenile was cited, and the parent of the juvenile currently works in our office. So it's a clear conflict of interest. We've already reached out to the Carbon County Attorney's Office through Ashley Mayfield, who is their elected county attorney, and she has agreed to take on this case. It shouldn't cost anything. We're still doing virtual court, but we did offer, if for some reason Ms. Mayfield has to drive here, that we would pay mileage. But our judge is still willing to do virtual court if this citation were to go to court. So we should be okay, and it should not cost any funds.
Thank you, commissioners. Any questions?
I have one question. What's the resolution number?
It's 2021-017. And I brought copies. I don't know if.
Yeah, that would be
I
great.
would love it if you would have it.
Yeah.
Only brought 2, of course.
Yeah, well, Jackie can have the other one. Yeah, there. Yeah. Okay. I've seen it. So. Well, thank you. Appreciate it. We'll take a look at it and that's where it's on silent. And we'll get something done with
Thank you.
that today.
I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
I move that we approve resolution 2021-017, a resolution to appoint a special prosecutor. That person being Ashley is her name Ashley Mayfield? From Carbon County.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, all opposed, same sign. Motion carries. 9A, request from the community partners for the 1% funding for Albany County Fire District 1 in the amount of $20,000. Mr. Siegel, good morning. Come on out, please.
And sidekick.
All right.
It's Mike Olson. Mike is the assistant chief at Centennial. And in order to go through this thing quickly, I thought I'd bring him along if you have some questions about the facility that we want to build. What we're asking for is 50% share on a $40,000 project. That is $20,000. That will allow us to drill a well at this Centennial Station #1 and connect the electrical service and piping, underground piping to bring that water into the station. The station does not have a water supply. It stands, has no water supply. Current facilities in the station are supplied by having one of the trucks that's carrying water pump off into an overhead tank. So of course, this is not potable water. Can't use it for showers. So, by installing this well, we open up the door for what is our real objective here, is to install an ADA bathroom facility, wash up, shower facility that will, in our understanding and belief, enhance the health and safety of our volunteer firemen, as well as the visitors to the station. We've learned a lot about health and safety for firemen in recent years. And we're concerned in the district that we should have shower facilities. These quality facilities. We have one at the moment that's in the new station on Central South, 287. We've got 11 stations, and we're just going to take them one at a time as we can. And first the water supply, and then the indoor facilities. So that is our request. And we have not pursued funding from this source in the past. This is all new.
Hey. Well, thank you guys. See, commissioners, any questions?
The wheels are turning again. I have. So to me, I think that these are like wind farm impact funds. Is that true? That when we're talking about impact funds and source.
Well, this is the 5th cent.
Community
Oh,
partners.
gotcha. This is general purpose.
This is the community partners.
Yep.
I'm sorry, I misspoke.
That's all right.
It's confusing, I'm sure.
It happens to me too.
All right. Any questions? So just to let you guys know about the process a little bit, we'll take that application and we'll combine it with all the applications. It's been my experience in 2 years, but that's not a whole lot of experience, that there's usually more requests than there are funds. And then we'll figure out how to distribute those funds as equitably as we think we can. And so that'll be coming up. We should let you know by July, I think, is the typical timeline of when we make everybody who's submitted applications for community partners aware of how we voted, and it coincides with our budget. So we try to get our budget done along with community partners. That's a big piece of it. Any other questions? I really do appreciate you guys being volunteers and the fire. And I know, it's a big county and a lot of structures. And last year you guys were pressed into service quite a bit. So thank you. I think that fire could have turned out unbelievably more devastating, but I think thanks to the good work of folks like you and Chad's crew and every the firefighters, I really do appreciate it. And thank you for doing that for our county.
We appreciate your thoughts.
Thank you. Okay, have a great morning. Thanks. Thank you. Item 10, present for approval, memorandum of understanding between the Board of Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming, by and through the Albany County Human Resource Office and the Laramie Regional Airport Board for HR Services. Christina, I see you up. The floor is yours, please. Could you give us a little bit of background on this? And then I know you have about 3 of them. It's the same story, but maybe so we can all remember exactly what this memorandum of understanding is for.
Sure. So there will be 3 MOUs in front of you today. These are for each of the boards, the library board, the airport board, and the fair board. So they came and approached us several years ago about obtaining my services to help them with their HR needs. So these MOUs are very similar for each of those boards, but basically outline the things that I will assist them with, such as hiring, firing, disciplinary, anything that they need basically that's HR related. So this is a renewal of those contracts. We do them every year. The contracts run July 1 through June 30 for each of those boards. And it's just an understanding between us and them about what services I will provide. They do pay a portion of my salary. Each board pays $5,000 towards my salary plus taxes. So it works out to be like $6,175 or something like that. We have not increased the rates for them from year to year. And so other than that, there isn't any changes other than just updating the contract to the new calendar and fiscal year.
Thank you, Christina. I appreciate it. I hope you're feeling well this morning. Any questions, commissioners?
No questions, just a comment, Christina. Under payment, part 4 of each of these MOUs, the dollar amount doesn't equal the narrative explanation of the dollar amount.
Okay.
For instance, you say the amount of $1,167, and then in parentheses, it's $1,201.50.
That's my fault. I just did not update the written text. So I will get those changed and bring them down for signatures.
Okay, also, I'm a little confused under that same payment section. It says that county shall also be responsible for any actual expenses incurred by the county to perform the services under this contract. Payment shall be payable to the county. The county is paying the county for county expenses. Should this be the individual entities you're offering services to?
That's a great question. That is just standard verbiage that's been in there for years. Jennifer, do you want to address that so we can make the change?
That the county is liable to pay the county for any actual expenses just means that if you went back and added up Christina's time and she spent more than the contracted amount on the airport board in a year, it means that the county is liable for Christina's time for that extra time that the airport board is not.
Okay, so the county being the county as an entity and county being Christine.
Yes.
Okay.
Since she is an employee of the county, what it's saying is if she spends more than what's in the budgeted time on any of the boards in that year, then the county pays her additional, what would be her additional salary, although she's salaried, so there's not additional salary, it's just a different allocation.
Okay.
And similarly, if we pay, like if she has a board that doesn't require as much work in a year and she doesn't spend all that time, we don't adjust that rate lower to account for the time that she spent.
Thank you, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
I thought maybe we were just county happy there with the word.
It's a little backwards. We'll work on the language for next year and clean it up.
Any other questions? I'd entertain a motion for item 10, please.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item 10 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 11, present for approval memorandum of understanding between the Board of Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming, by and through the Albany County Human Resource Office and the Albany County Fair Board for HR services. Christina, I guess just adding anything to this that you'd like to that's different from the previous one.
Nope, they're identical. And I'm changing the amounts that Sue pointed out now, but other than that, there's no changes.
Any questions, commissioners?
No.
I'd entertain a motion for item 11.
I move that we approve item 11 is presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 12, present for approval memorandum of understanding between the Board of Commissioners of the County of Albany, Wyoming, by and through the Albany County Human Resources Office and the Albany County Public Library for HR services. Anything that you'd like to add with this one, Christina?
Nope, that's the same thing.
Any questions, commissioners? I'd entertain a motion for item 12.
I move that we approve item 12 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 13, present for approval utility license for City of Laramie on County Road 17, Roger Canyon Road, Southeast Quarter Section 21, Township 16, North Range 73 West for a 12-inch water line connecting to a pump station. Rob, good morning. Oh, he was there. Okay. Well, let's,
Mr. Chairman, I'm happy to make a motion.
okay.
The explanation on this is just when utilities of any sort cross a county road right of way, we have to grant or not, I guess, that access. I can't see any reason why we wouldn't grant the city access to use the right of ways for water pipelines. So that being said, I move that we approve the utility license for the City of Laramie on County Road 17 in Roger Canyon Road.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 14, present for approval utility license for the City of Laramie on County Road 17, Roger Canyon Road, Southeast Quarter Section 21, Township 16 North, Range 73 West for a 24-inch water line connecting pump station to Zone 3 tank. Okay. Hi, Rob. Good morning. Hey, good morning, Rob. How are you?
I think I'm back. Out there, Austin. I was-
First utility license. We're on the second utility license. Is there
Okay.
anything you would like us, we approved the first one. Is there anything you'd like us to know about the second one or?
They're both pretty routine. They're just water lines to go under Roger Canyon Road, basically right as you start up, out of the city limits. They're going to be boring them, so
Okay.
it'd be good.
Commissioners, any questions?
Then
I'd entertain a motion for item 14.
I move that. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I move that we approve item 14 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you, Rob. I appreciate
Thank
it.
you. Sorry, I
24
disappeared
inch
for a
line
minute.
is a big one.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Present for approval, item 15, excuse me, present for approval 2021 Wildland Fire Management Annual Operating Plan for the purpose of addressing issues affecting cooperation, interagency working relationships and protocols, financial arrangements, and joint activities across the state of Wyoming. Chad, good morning.
Commissioners, this is what you have in front of you. There's the, what we call our annual operating plan. It's a massive mutual aid agreement between our county and all of the jurisdictional entities that we're likely to do business with in the coming year. This is renewed annually and signed by all the parties involved. The highlights of this is that what it enables us to do, because wildland fire doesn't recognize fences or lines on a map. So when we go out on, when we approach a fire in the wildland environment, we don't always know whose property it is or whose jurisdiction it is. So during that initial attack period, it enables all resources to act as if it were their own jurisdiction and to work to stabilize the incident. So that's kind of the key thing for us. It also highlights some of the, that's during the first operational period till midnight. Then it kind of starts to line out how the money's going to flow after that period. So very good agreement. It's been combed over many, many, many times. You'll know if you look at it closely enough, some of the contact information is out to date and incorrect. I think they've included a wrong page in that. The contact information part of this document is kind of a working portion of this document, and it's constantly updated and changed and stuff like that. I think there's some more current information on it. Any questions about this document?
Any questions?
That was my only concern, Chad. You did point out, as I noted, that the county commissioner contact information is quite outdated.
Yeah, that's about 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah.
I know that there's some newer ones. This document is available online on the Wyoming State Forestry, and that's the one we generally refer to. So
Okay.
This is one that we printed out that we're working on right now.
Okay.
But the body of it is accurate.
Mr. Richardson?
I'm just glad that you guys don't stand around watching the fire burn, trying to figure out who's supposed to fight it. That's what I like about this.
There's jurisdictions in this country, particularly in the east, where that does occur. So I'm super happy to have something like this where we can go to work and stabilize something without concern for whose dirt it is.
Chad, thank you so much, because I learned a lot reading through it about how this works, and so that I can be more of a resource for people. That's accurate resource. So thanks so much.
And I'm always available for questions on it as well. I'm pretty familiar with this.
Thank you. Commissioners, I'd entertain a motion for item 15, please.
I move that we approve item 15 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 16. Present for approval amendment between Tyler Technologies Incorporated and Albany County, Wyoming to set forth the items in the sales quotation attached as Exhibit 1 to perform software migration in the amount of $3,650. Adam, good morning.
Morning, Commissioners. Thank you for your time today. Before you is a scope of work for an after-hours migration for the data to new Tyler servers for both our DocuPro and our taxing services. The DocuPro will be essentially a full version area upgrade, get us onto a supported OS. The same thing with Tyler. The big thing with the TaxWise or the Tyler side is the change in which that we publish the application. So it will no longer be that fat client installations. These will be standardized application access going to their standardized model, which is we're the last ones, the only ones that are still on their flat client installations from the previous virtual machines that were utilized here. I'd like to get to their standardized model. So, and that's both of them are server upgrades as well. So, questions?
Any questions? I'd entertain a motion for item 16, please.
I move that we approve item 16 as was presented by Adam.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, all those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 17, present for approval scope of work from A&M for assistance with upgrade of the Exchange server in an amount not to exceed $7,335. Adam, the floor is yours again.
Yes, thank you again. So again, before you as a scope of work, this is with a different outfit, A&M. And this is assistance in essentially the preparatory work and the migration for our local Exchange server, of which is again, fairly far out of date. I decided to take a small step and jump to 2016, which is still older than what is currently out of release. But I'd like to kind of use that as a small step. There's more domain permissions and more domain preparation that has to go in if you were trying to jump straight to 2019 or anything newer. So this will put us onto a supported platform. It's still supported and updated going out, I think, to 2025 as of currently is end of life on the Microsoft side. So it gives us plenty of time to see if we want to move to a full cloud instance and no longer be in that hybrid environment, as well as see what direction Microsoft takes all of it. So we don't have the expertise in-house. It's a very involved upgrade that digs deep into the root of the organization itself in terms of technology. So we're asking for the help.
Adam, I'm floored that you don't know how to do this.
I'm not.
Might be the first time, huh?
I'll certainly stand up and say when I do not know something. So.
Commissioners, any other questions?
Yeah, so I guess what you're saying is what we have, and the leap is so big that we create all kinds of issues if we tried to do it. And so if we do it in steps, we probably can solve our issues without our whole.
It'll be less impactful if we take the smaller steps. That's its recommended Microsoft migration path. Mm-hmm. You can jump to 2019, but it's a bit more of a hack and hash situation and there's a larger outage timeline. I would say impacts it. So
and because our people have to,
it's a core.
This has to be up and running all the time. We don't have very much time, and we can't have very much lost data or hard to find data or crazy paths that have to get ironed out when somebody goes looking for something.
Well, and there's even documented paths coming off of 2016 to 2019 of which we can take advantage of once we're there.
Gotcha.
I'm just trying to follow Microsoft's recommended update schedule, update guidelines, and the path sets without causing too much of an interference to anyone.
Commissioners, I entertain a motion for item 17.
I move that we approve the scope of work from A&M for assistance with the upgrade of the Exchange server in an amount not to exceed $7,335.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, all those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 18, present for approval, Emergency Rental Assistance Program, CFDA number 21.023, 2021, subrecipient agreements for the following agencies: Downtown Clinic in the amount of $10,500, Family Promise of Albany County amount of $30,000, Laramie Interfaith in the amount of $94,236, and authorize the chairperson to sign the Family Promise and Interfaith agreements and the vice chair to sign the Downtown Clinic agreements. Tracy, good morning.
Good morning, commissioners. This is, I think, one of our last steps in the emergency rental assistance program. So this will be the case management for Downtown Clinic, Interfaith of Laramie, and Family Promise of Albany County to administer the ERAP. And they are already been kind of picking up and doing things for helping people, and they're really getting busy. I believe Interfaith already had 57 people in one day. Wow. So this also in the subrecipient agreements is a little bit different than some of our sub agreements that we have in the past, because we're going to prepay them so they can start that hiring process and have the funds to pay those employees. And it will also make me very happy. I just want to add that. if no other reason. No, just kidding. it has been very time consuming, and I think as Pete knows, because he's been involved in every one of the meetings, and it's the guidance and the way it rolled out has not been very smooth. But we've worked through it all and we've gotten to this point. So, and I believe down the road, we will have a second funding or phase 2 perhaps, or something of that nature, because these agreements only cover less than half of the money that we were awarded. The total to $134,736.
And just to let you guys know that even though you might be awarding the money up front, there is a reporting every month that has to come to the county by the 5th of the month, that goes to the state by the 10th of the month, accounting for the hours worked and the people that were contacted and able to get through the process.
So the individual clients will be named?
No, just the numbers.
Okay.
Just the numbers,
Okay.
yeah.
Just metadata only.
Right.
Is the downtown clinic prepared to do this work?
We started on yesterday. So it will be a summer thing until the end of July. But yeah, we have a social work student already who just graduated a master's and is working on it as we speak.
And she called yesterday and said, how come they list you? Well, because it's not official that it's you guys. As soon as tomorrow, when those agreements are signed, it'll be you guys and the other 2 agencies that are actually still already doing it.
And Heber, this isn't too far out of the realm of the work that the downtown clinic has done, because we have in the past been a source of information, informing people, clients, of resources out in the community that they can go to in order to get assistance. So I'm tickled that this is finally done, because I know I have personally received calls this past year about how do I get help with rental and all. So Tracy, at this point, once this is signed, funds are released to these agencies to actually start distributing.
Yes, we'll have the vouchers. I believe Amanda snuck them down because I failed to print them, but because I did them when I was in Casper. But we will release the money during our regular voucher cycle on the 25th to them. Once all the agreements, of course, are signed.
Well, I must say that I'm pleased that the funding stream, the ERAP funding stream, allows for us to use it to pay for program administration. Otherwise, it would be a millstone hanging around whoever's neck who tries to do it. And that to me is the most important part, right? So anyway, and then you can go back to your regular stuff.
During budget, yes, that'd be great.
Right.
I do want to point out too that these funds are probably the first set that have come in. This is through the American Recovery Act from December, and the next set will probably be through the American Rescue Plan, which I haven't made it through that Treasury guidance yet, but they have to let us know that there is a second set of funding probably on its way.
And this, like Tracy said, did not use all the money for this funding. It's a little over half. So there have maybe be some other people and entities willing to help with ERAP in the coming months. This money has to be expended by the 31st of December. As we're being told now, I don't know if that'll change or not.
The total awarded money, so.
The $255,510 or something. I can't remember the number, but it's something like that. To help people get onto ERAP. ERAP has $200 million for the state of Wyoming for back rent, back utilities, forward rent, forward utilities, and broadband.
Nice.
Or internet, excuse me, not broadband.
Yeah, but no telephone or cable.
Yeah, no
I've had
telephone.
that question numerous times.
And so is there a debt? I'm sorry, Peter.
Oh, so this will come back around for the other half of the current allocation.
I think so, because one of the entities that expressed interest was Albany County Public Library, but they just didn't understand how they would fit and make it work. But once maybe we're up and going with some of the other agencies, when we have our weekly meeting or monthly meeting, whichever the case be, but we might have some ideas like hey, maybe you guys could do this piece. And then we can help them apply for some of this money to offset those costs.
So it's probably a good thing that we didn't go all in on this one, because we're gonna learn some things, and that the next round or several rounds, if there's more funding coming out, then we'll get better at it.
Right. And I think the state's getting better at it
community
because it came to the state so quickly. And that's where probably part of the rollout was so confusing, because this was new for them on how they were going to do it. They created an app with Deloitte that is an online application. So all of our agencies, Interfaith and Family Promise and Leanne down at the downtown clinic, will be assisting those people that don't have the ability to do the online application because they don't have maybe a cell phone, or maybe they don't have a computer, or internet, or other means to do
Or
it.
they
So
need just the experience of a person who has answered the questions with clients over and over again.
yeah.
Yeah, and there's a bunch of paperwork to gather and collect and submit along with that for the person, but also landlords to be helped by this, because this program would like the deposit made directly with the landlord. Doesn't have to be, but they would like it. And so some landlords might be hesitant and might not have that ability to get themselves onto the Wolf system, or the Wyoming online payment system. Look what I've learned in all these meetings.
You're saying that those are direct ACH transfers.
They would like this program to be that way, and also with the utility companies, the direct transfer once the need's established.
So Tracy, with this first round or this first allocation, is there a deadline by which this money needs to be used?
Everybody, as far as these separate agreements are in the agreements, it has December 31st of 2020.
Oh, even.
Or 2021, excuse me.
Okay.
So it's a short funding period. I feel as with kind of all things CARES and the COVID relief funds and things, that they've always been extended because the need is still there, but I'm not guaranteeing that to anybody, or we just need to use it if we can by the date.
You know, what's interesting about this, there's no actuarial science to figure out how much behind in the aggregate, you know, the dollar value of these things, right? Somebody just says, here, take this money. So there's a distinct possibility that, you know, that there's not $100 and whatever million worth of behind this in the state to catch up on, if that makes sense. So I just, it'll be interesting to see how it turns out. You know, if Albany County has more money allocated than we have need, we don't know that to the end, because
I believe the only allocation that we have is for this money, which is actual case management. I don't think of the 180 million that's allocated for the back rent and utilities is specifically delegated any portions to any county.
We just pay the case.
The big money to the state directly.
And the state makes the payments.
Yep. So I don't think they have it. Yeah, right. Exactly. Because if they had 57 people in one day, that's a lot of extra work for our accounts payable. And I don't think they want that extra burden, because we have enough transactions of our own.
Well, and that responsibility, you know, would shift to us if we were managing all of it.
The approval,
can you imagine reaching in the county coffers to reimburse, to pay back some of it because the funds weren't administered? I mean, even the rules related to the administration of it aren't that clear. So, Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item 18 as presented.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed,
Thank
same
you.
sign. And I will abstain, Jackie, from that vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion passes. Thanks,
Thanks,
Tracy.
Tracy, yeah.
Thanks for your work and
Great
thanks for your
news.
explanation and yeah. Item 19, present for approval memorandum of understanding among Wyoming Department of Revenue, Albany County Assessor for the purpose of setting forth the responsibilities of the DOR and the county concerning administration of all the equipment and software provided by the DOR used in the computer-assisted mass appraisals system. Grant, good morning. Yeah, the floor is yours.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We have you. Thank you.
Okay. This is one of our rotating series. About once every 3 or 4 years, the Department of Revenue rotates out all the computers, servers and such like that to be able to maintain the system and keep everything up and running the way it should. So they should be coming sometime later this summer. But yeah, whole new free round of computers.
Commissioners, any questions? I entertain a motion for item 19.
I move that we approve item 19 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Grant. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Pete.
Item 20, discuss and approve recommended budget allocations for the subrecipients of the Wyoming Department of Family Services 2021-2022 TAMP CPI grant. Kayla, good morning. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair Gosar and Commissioners. Today we have the approval. First, we'll go over the budget recommendations for the TANF because we did get cut funding from the state. And then in the next agenda item, we have a resolution approving what allocations you guys chose to do. So I didn't do the background work of this. Bailey actually did. And we do have, looks like 2 of the agencies. Megan is with Cathedral Home and Hannah is with Big Brothers Big Sisters. They look like the only 2 on. If they want to speak, if you want them to speak to their program first, and then if you want me to go over the budget or how you guys want to go about that.
Who would like to do that?
Let them speak so they can
Okay.
move on.
Megan, good morning. I'll start with you and then we'll move to you, Hannah. Tell us a little bit about your program and the TAMP money and how you use it, please.
Yeah, good morning. My name is Megan. I'm the Community Partnership Coordinator over here at our community programs at Cathedral Home. Good morning, Commissioners. I'm happy to be here today. So our TANF grant money, how we're using it right now, our services are focused on promoting resiliency and family unity for at-risk youth and families in our community. In 2020, we served around 89 individuals in Albany and Carbon County, not including a head count of every family member served, which would really increase our numbers significantly. Through this TANF funding, we're providing high fidelity wraparound services, which is a 6 to 18 month team-based planning process that helps families who have children with complex conditions and needs successfully remain in their homes, schools, and communities. This is a service that is also administered through state funding, but as we're able to use TANF funding, it really addresses a resource gap in eligibility because other funding sources require a mental health diagnosis. And through the TANF funding, we're able to provide the services to families who may not have quite that diagnosis yet. So it's a really amazing preventative service that we're able to use to support families before they have an incident or a diagnosis that is more significant. So this has been a really amazing funding source to provide this high quality services for families. We're also providing care coordination, and this is a little bit different than wraparound in that it is more flexible. It's focused on resource coordination and connection, as well as daily kind of living skill support for families. So we're able to be flexible if like a family just needs to be signed up for Medicaid, or if they have some more needs around bringing together the school, bringing together counselor and making sure everyone's on the same page and providing care and structure for families who need that support. Also, we're providing counseling and asset building groups to parents. And those are some of the goals that we're working on for 2021. We're really trying to move forward in addressing more mental health needs. We're seeing major gaps with parents who have teens and needing a lot of support and parenting skills. So as we move forward in 2021, we're really looking to expand those services, meet the needs of our community through this funding source to address these needs and gaps. So those are kind of what we're doing in a nutshell and what we're really excited about and how TANF is providing these services to our community.
Thank you, Megan. Questions, commissioners? Anna, good morning. Thank you. The floor is yours, please.
Good morning, commissioners. Thank you for having us this morning and letting us share a little bit about how we are using the TANF funding. I think most of you are pretty familiar with Big Brothers Big Sisters, but our mission is to create and support one-to-one mentoring relationships that ignite the power and promise of youth. We go about that in a few different ways here in Albany County, but what TANF helps us do and what sets Big Brothers Big Sisters apart from other mentoring organizations is the level of professional support that each family and each mentor receives when working with our agency. We have professional training for the volunteers, training for our staff, and are able to help focus on each child and each family as an individual and meet them exactly where they are, regardless of what challenges they are facing, instead of honing in on, one specific aspect of child development, grades, behavior, poverty, things like that. We're able to focus on each child and each family and address whatever need they may be experiencing or that might come up during their time working with us. And TANF funds help us do that. TANF funds help us fill some of the gaps and allow us to continue providing the professional level of support. As Megan mentioned, I think youth mental health is unfortunately in crisis at the moment. The kids are pretty traumatized from everything that they've been through over the last year, and we've asked a lot of them, and they've had to do it all without their regular support systems in place, schools and activities and extra support and things like that. So there is a pretty significant indication that we will be seeing a lot more mental health challenges come up in the next ongoing future as we sort of work to try to get to the other side of the pandemic and things like that. These impacts are starting to really take their toll. And Big Brothers Big Sisters believes that we can play a crucial role in supporting kids and families and the community in whatever it is that comes next. Because we have that individual approach and we work directly with kids and families on a one-to-one level, we're able to watch for and help whatever issues are coming up. We have more direct access to working with the kids one-on-one, which allows us to screen for and be aware of any issues that they may be experiencing. And TANF funds help us do that. TANF funds help us provide case management that allows us to watch for any issues that might be coming up and help refer and provide resources to those kids and families. As scary as things are at the moment and as scary as things we think might be in the coming months, we know that the #1 predictor of whether a child develops resiliency is whether or not they have a strong, caring adult in their life. And that person can be a mentor, a parent, a teacher, a neighbor, any adult in their life who is providing support to a child. That is the #1 predictor of whether or not they will develop resiliency. So that's going to be absolutely critical as we face this next period. And we rely on TANF funds to help us be that support and provide that support for kids and families in this community. So that's kind of where we're at and where we are going in the immediate future and how TANF plays a role in helping provide for those needs in this community.
Thank you, Hannah. Any questions for Hannah? Megan, Hannah, thank you for taking time today and for the work that you do. I really do appreciate it. And Kayla.
Okay, I want to reiterate too, I talked with Martha from Climb and Josh from Interfaith, and they both had conflicts this morning, but they wanted to extend their thanks for this funding. It's crucial to their program. So just that as a side note. So we applied for $107,100 through the state. It came back with a budgeted amount of $86,500. So Bailey went through and she just did a 19% cut request across the board. So I can kind of tell you, so extended families program applied for $15,000 and with the 19% cut, it would be $12,087.25. Climb Wyoming applied for $32,500 And then the budget or the cut amount would be the $26,262.25. Interfaith was $39,600. And the cut amount is $32,013.25. And Big Brothers Big Sisters applied for $20,000, and the 19% cut would be $16,137.25 to get us to the $86,500. Unless you guys have another way you want to allocate those funds, it's really up to you. I think she just did it straight across the board to make it easy, but it's really up to you guys on how you want to cut those funds. We just need to get to that $86,500 amount.
Commissioners?
What happened with my front door?
They did not apply. So I don't know why they didn't this year, but they did not.
And I think maybe we could just round up those 25 cents and put them all together, like $12,088 in extended families, and then just drop the remainder on the rest of them. I think a little bit easier.
Okay.
All right, any other questions, concerns? I'd entertain a motion for 20, approving the recommended budget allocations.
You know, it's interesting. This has always been hard for me because
Right.
these organizations all do really valuable work, but at different stages in the process, right? So Interfaith is probably kind of like more emergency, and Cathedral, Climb, and Big Brothers Big Sisters are sort of longer term type investment in people, right? And it just has always bothered me, kind of the arbitrary nature of this process, but I don't know how to drill down to do it differently. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like there's a part of me that wants to make sure that we fund. I mean, there's probably a different value proposition with what each of the organizations does, right? Like Climb is very involved, but touches, fewer people. But maybe with more permanent beneficial outcomes. I don't know. That's just me thinking out loud. I don't know if the recipients are okay with this allocation, and I am not inclined to get them fighting with each other. That's kind of why they leave it to us. So I guess I'm wringing my hands in angst out loud before we vote. Yeah.
Totally agree. And as somebody who deals a little bit in this world, one person's issue can be hundreds of dollars, and the next person's issues can be tens of dollars. And so just using numbers of people is not really equitable either. And so I don't know exactly how to do that either, even in my own shop, quite honestly. So. I'd entertain a motion.
I move that we approve item 20 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 21, present for approval resolution 2021-016, resolution designating funding allocations to several recipients of the Albany County 21-22 Temporary Assistance for Needy Families Community Partnership Initiative, TAMP CPI subaward. Kayla.
So this is just the resolution that puts forth the breakdown of the budget or the budget allocations for the TANF funds. And then I'll update that and have it printed off. And then there's a certification that goes with the resolution to the state. So.
And questions, commissioners, and I think just to add to that, you need to authorize me to sign that at the bottom. So the
Okay.
motion. I'd entertain a motion for item 21.
I move that we approve resolution 2021-016. A resolution designating funding allocations to subrecipients of the Albany County 21-22 temporary TANF CPI subaward in the amounts described by the deputy clerk and authorize the chairperson to sign.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thanks, Kayla. I appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Kayla.
Item 22, present for approval, Election Systems and Software LLC hardware maintenance and software license, maintenance and support services agreement between Election Systems and Software LLC and Albany County. Jackie, good morning.
Good morning, Commissioners, Chairperson Gosar, Commissioner Ibarra, and Commissioner Richardson. You know, back in 2019, the election security storage facility assessment was conducted on the election building and addressed a need for upgrades and additional key card access on the north and east doors, as well as the interior vault door. Notification from the Honorable Secretary Buchanan was made to the Board of County Commissioners requesting resolution of our physical security needs. The Board of County Commissioners approved an original contract for access control in the election building on April 6, 2021. We applied to the Secretary of State's office for funding in the amount of $10,192 to cover the costs for this security upgrade to our election building. And I'm happy to report that the Secretary of State's office has entered into a contract with Albany County in order to provide the requested funding to purchase, install, and configure the wire door card swipes for 2 entry exits, doors in the election building and the vault where we house our valuable election equipment, as well as our ballots and our other related material that have to do with elections. And so at this time, I bring forward a contract between the Wyoming Secretary of State's office. We do have a deadline of June 30th to have this project completed. And the vendor has been working very diligently to get this done.
Commissioners, any questions? Jackie, on the contract I have in front, they have June 30th, redlined out July 31st is the new date. Is that meant to be that way, I'm guessing?
No, Chairperson Gosar, the deadline is June 30th, 2021.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you. Commissioners, I'd entertain a motion for item 22.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve item 22 as presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 23, present for approval, contract between Wyoming Secretary of State's office and Albany County Clerk's office for the purpose of setting forth the terms and conditions by which the county shall utilize the requested funding to purchase, install, and configure wired door card swipes for 2 entry exit doors in the election storage building and the vault where the county stores voting equipment and election related materials. Jackie.
I apologize. I spoke on behalf of this particular agenda item previously. I apologize for that. Can I go back and talk about the contract with election systems and software? I am so sorry. As you know, election systems and software is the vendor that the Secretary of State's office basically awarded contract to all 23 counties. Under the Help America Vote Act, the Secretary of State's office was able to fund the regular maintenance and hardware of all of our equipment last fiscal year. Unfortunately, with the funds no longer there, it is up to the 23 counties now to enter into a contract as we have before. And so before you, on the previous agenda item, which you should have reflected, you have a contract with Election Systems and Software. So Pete, I apologize. Yes, that date is July 31st, 2021. I was speaking to the contract in regards to the Secretary of State for the security upgrades. This contract is for election system and software for the hardware and maintenance. And we will have, actually, we have budgeted that amount in this upcoming fiscal year. And the reason why the July 31st date is solely because the budgets are, in most cases, are not approved across the state until the middle of July. And so this gives us sufficient time to provide the funding to election system and software.
Commissioners, any questions?
My apologies. Okay.
Well, I'm not going to rescind my motion. The last item.
Entertain a motion for 23, please.
I move that we approve both items 22 and 23 as they were very nicely presented.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 24, discuss additional information and consideration relating to the potential consolidation of the schoolyard and Pilot Hill leases. Jennifer, thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you, Commissioner Gosar and commissioners. At your meeting on April 20th, I think it was, we talked about bringing forward the consolidation of both of those leases. Sarah Brown Matthews presented information about reaching out. She had reached out to State Land and Investments. They told her what the commissioner's office needed to do. As we looked into that more in our office, there's two different lease periods for those leases. The schoolyard lease started in 2017 and runs through 2027. The Pilot Hill lease started in 2020 and runs through 2045. So prior to going forward with the process to consolidate those leases, I thought it was important to bring that back before you to make sure that we wanted to, because when we incorporate them, I believe the state will push both of those lease terms out to the 2025 lease once, or the 2045 lease, once they're in the same lease. So that extends that by 18 years or so. So prior to doing that, I wanted to bring it forth to your consideration. And also, while we're talking about Pilot Hill, I wanted to bring up the idea that the liability insurance that was discussed a little bit this morning during the interview is a concern for Pilot Hill. Pilot Hill, the university requires Pilot Hill to have liability insurance, carry liability insurance on the university piece of the Pilot Hill section. And in doing some research with our insurance through LGLP, the county cannot have insurance through LGLP for the Pilot Hill section because we contract with Pilot Hill Inc. to manage that section. And they are not a government entity. They have their own EIN number, which is an employer identification number, and they are their own entity. So what that means to Pilot Hill Inc. is that they have to get independent liability insurance, which costs them, and Sarah can correct me if I'm wrong, I think it costs them just over $36,000 for a year, which they have paid in April of 2021, which is paid through April of 2022. But that's a huge portion of money every year, and long run isn't something that's overly sustainable for Pilot Hill Inc. So we've had a meeting with Commissioner Ibarra, myself, Sarah Brown Matthews, and Marilyn Kite, just a preliminary talk about what the options are for Pilot Hill going forward. And we certainly don't have anything definite yet, but we discussed maybe looking at creating a joint powers board between the city and the county and the university. We discussed the option of maybe turning those leases over to Pilot Hill Inc. And removing the county out of the middle. a whole lot of different things were discussed. And as you're all aware, there's a lot of implications that go into the Pilot Hill lease, not just the surface area uses, but also the aquifer protection that it gives that huge section of land. So one, I need direction from you as to whether we want to move forward with combining those given the extension of the lease term that would happen with the schoolyard section. And then the second is just for your ability to discuss and mull over any thoughts you may have now and in the future. This isn't something that we can get done in the next week or month or whatever, but we need to start thinking on it and figuring out what we need to do long-term wise from both the county and Pilot Hill Inc.'s perspective for sustainability.
Jennifer, commissioners.
I've been in on these discussions. I want to hear what you two think about it.
I have some thoughts on this, you know, specifically the consolidation of leasing. Obviously, that makes sense, regardless of how it's managed or who manages it. It's going to be managed as one unit. And so the leases ought to run, you know, they ought to be the same and the same entities, right?
Correct.
The schoolyard lease is to the county, and I mean, you know what I'm saying. So,
and the agreement that the county has, which I didn't bring up earlier, and I'm sorry about the agreement with the county has with Pilot Hill for the management includes both the Pilot Hill acreage and the schoolyard acreage. So they're both already covered in that management agreement.
yeah, it's just cleaning it up. So that's the easy part. The second part, which is, it's interesting that liability insurance would be the lever. I mean, you know, there's a nod towards aquifer protection, except that there won't ever be any development on state land. It's recreational land. You know, so that's dealt with by the very nature of the acquisition and its use, right?
The concern, sorry to interrupt you, the concern that when we met that Tuesday or last Wednesday, I think it was that if those leases were to be turned back over to the state at some point, it would subject that parcel to the state exchanging it for other pieces for sale or doing other things. So it wouldn't be an always guarantee that the state wouldn't turn around and sell it or do an exchange for somewhere else to free up part of it so it could be sold.
And that is desirable land, right? They could get a much higher dollar for that land than something out north of Rawlins, northwest of Rawlins that has no water, right? I'm not using.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah.
Some remote state sections.
Right. Yeah. So I'm in agreement with, it seems like Heber, and I'm thinking too about combining the leases and moving those out. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
The next piece is a really interesting piece.
That's tough. It annoys me that liability insurance, I don't know. Do you ever go out on somebody's land? Like, I don't know, let's say a rancher gives you permission to hunt or fish on his land. Do you ever think, I hope this guy has liability insurance, because if I fall in the creek and hit my head, I'm going to sue him. You know, like, I don't really understand the need for liability insurance on a piece of public land. The state doesn't have liability insurance for all the users of state sections. It's all over the whole, yeah, I mean, you know, I don't understand.
I think the concern comes down to if it was the state managing it or if it was the county managing it, then we have the governmental immunity. But where it is that we've contracted the management to a private entity and removed the county's, the county with that contract, we don't do any of the improvements. We don't do maintenance on the improvements. That's all a contracted responsibility to Pilot Hill. So Jackie and I called LGLP a week ago or a week and a half ago and spoke with Bill Miller and explained the situation. And the first question he asked was, do they have their own EIN? And we said, yes. And he said that then they can't be covered under the county's LGLP policy. And because they are not an entity that is created by statute, like Fair Board or library board, they don't even qualify to have their own coverage under LGLP, which would
Right.
bring those rates down. And
They
then,
would have to get it out in the private market.
correct.
Which is what they've done.
Well, and
Yes.
that use is not, I don't know. If someone were to sue Pilot Hill Inc., what would they get? A bankruptcy? You know what I mean? Like,
That's what we discussed.
Mhm.
If they sue, and that's the end of that whole area. And
well,
and
no,
about Pilot Hill.
it would,
Right.
all it would do is bankrupt Pilot Hill Inc. It wouldn't change the use.
It would bankrupt Pilot Hill Inc. and then it would fall back to the county to pay the lease payments to the state every year, which in total between the two of them is, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, right around somewhere around $35,000
Right,
a
it's
year.
cheaper than the liability insurance.
It's
every
about
year.
equal. Yeah, it's about equal. It's a lot. And it is a big burden.
So,
Yeah, Sarah, I see your hands up, please. The floor is
Thank-
yours.
Thank you, Chairman Gosar. I did want to add just one other option that Honorable Marilyn Kite mentioned in this. She did reach out to the AG's office, just to ask how we might go about the process of determining whether or not Pilot Hill Inc. would be deemed an instrumentality of the county. So that is also an avenue that we could pursue. We would need the Board of Commissioners and to approve asking the county attorney to ask that question. That's not something anybody but the county attorney can ask the AG's office to determine. Because if we were found to be an instrumentality, then we would also be under the governmental immunity clause, and that would take care of this liability issue. Unfortunately, there's not currently a definition for what an instrumentality is, and we anticipate that that would probably take several months to a year to determine. So short term, we have purchased the liability insurance. We're making sure that we're protecting the assets that the community has so generously donated, and moving forward with the work that we've been charged with. But we are hoping to work creatively with the county and or the city or the state, whomever, and see if we can't find a better resolution for this challenge.
Thank you, Sarah. I did forget to mention that as well, that Marilyn Kite had mentioned that and asking if the commissioners would authorize the request for instrumentality from the AG's office as to whether Pilot Hill could be considered an instrumentality, which then would make it a governmental entity. And then we would still, I believe, need to address it with LGOP but would have more standing to say, we have an AG opinion that says we are an instrumentality. Can we now get covered? LGOP is relying on, they said there was a case out of Jackson, I think years and years ago, where coverage was an issue because a separate entity was doing the management. And so the county's coverage did not extend to that separate entity. And I mentioned at the meeting, I would reach out to Bill Miller and ask him for that citation. And I did not get that done yet, but I'll add it on my list and reach out to him this week.
So it's just my understanding that the university is mentioned in the Constitution and statute. If they operated their own piece independently, they wouldn't need liability. As if the county had its own lease, we wouldn't need liability. It's the Pilot Hill Inc. being its own separate entity with its own EIN and nonprofit status is why the university asked for liability on their piece and why we probably need it on our piece.
Correct. And that when we reached out to Bill Miller, he said they need, from an insurance standpoint, his recommendation was that the Pilot Hill entity does have liability insurance to add that layer of insulation before anything would come back to the county liability wise.
But nothing could come to the county liability wise.
The concern, I believe, from Bill Miller, and I have to do some more research. I started some of it, but haven't gotten it done yet. The concern from Bill Miller is where we have that contract with the outside agency. We want to make sure that that doesn't open up some liability to the county
You mean we would surrender our whatever, our sovereign immunity or whatever you
A
call
little
it?
bit of a piercing the veil argument in whatever, in a business sense, where you can get through that entity where otherwise you wouldn't be able to in certain circumstances.
Well, it's interesting because Pilot Hill Incorporated doesn't exist but to do anything but this, right?
And that's where the
if they were
instrumentality.
managing land in Colorado and this and that, youth camps and all of that kind of stuff, that would be different, but they exist only to do this.
And that's where that instrumentality question comes in.
Sarah, I see your hands up again. Or did you
Yeah,
not?
yes, thank you. I think Jennifer kind of addressed that. I do agree with her. I think my understanding, and I wish Marilyn Kite was here, is that if we were deemed, if the definition of instrumentality did in fact meet our standards, and we were deemed an instrumentality, we would be deemed an instrumentality of both the county and the university. So that would alleviate the need for this additional liability insurance. We might still want to consider some sort of insurance that would protect us if we have to pay legal fees if there were ever a case. But that is a question I'm uncertain of. Again, a big part of this is making sure that we're not ever putting the organization or this project in a position where we could have all of the assets eaten up in a court case that we might win, but might be a problem. And we do have liability signage posted on the property, just so the county knows, that clearly states that you're recreating at your own risk.
Again, that decision, if we should ask to the AG, would not be coming in anytime soon. Peggy had told us that they're way logged behind, as well as Jennifer pointing that out. And I know Marilyn was aware of it as well. So that doesn't, I mean, it could even be over a year before that decision comes by the next time that the payment is due for insurance. And you're right, Heber. You would think you're out there recreating. Why would you,
I twisted my ankle. Somebody is responsible for this. That rock is in the wrong
and
place.
I don't see that coming from the locals, because we're so thrilled to have this area and the possibilities there. But, we don't control people. There'll be people coming from out of state, and there are already events planned, races and all, and it can happen.
And Wyoming does have a Recreation Safety Act, which protects a lot of this. If the inherent risks in doing these things, you assume some of that risk just by doing those things. If you're doing them, you know it. It's just that concern.
Well, if somebody files a court action, you have to pay you have to respond, or you'll get a,
right.
And really, if you don't show up to answer it, likely the decision would go the other way. So no matter what, you have to show up in court to defend yourself, even if it's frivolous and should be thrown out.
And why it would happen, I hate to be the one to say it out loud, but those attorneys, they do a lot of things sometimes.
Right.
Whether you agree or don't
somebody
agree.
Would want to pierce that veil just to see if it could be done.
Somebody would try it. And it would, it probably wouldn't be a sprained ankle. It would probably be some big catastrophic thing where you would, there's all those sympathies and there's big damages and there's all of those issues. And Pilot Hill's aware, they talked about on BLM sections, you can't have any of their races or things because their fees, if you're going to use BLM sections to do that, are astronomical. So there's a whole lot that goes into when they do these events and things.
They can do them on some parts and not others.
But it's not even events, the WHMA is going to allow horseback riding through there and all. Can you imagine a collision between a horse and a bicyclist or a runner? So.
Well, and I think just with the liability insurance, that the money that was transferred from Wyoming Community Foundation to the Pilot Hill Inc., if that were to go away, the county is still on the hook for the 40 years of leasing.
Yes.
And that doesn't even cover trail maintenance and that type of stuff and trail building. And so this is it's an issue that will be addressed in time, I'm sure, but it's not as straightforward, I think, and you've laid it out for us. So, yeah, I'm not sure we're going to figure this one out today at the table. At least I don't feel confident.
All I can say is, ugh.
Yeah. Well, thank you for bringing that forward to us, both Jennifer and Sarah, and we'll look forward to getting a new county attorney, and then we'll see what they bring to bear and what their thoughts are also. So, item 25, make appointment to the Albany County Historic Preservation Board.
Mr. Chair, I move that we appoint Miss Jacqueline Williams to the Albany County Historic Preservation Board. And I apologize for not being here earlier, but I did look at her application and, you know, wow, in one word, I think she will be a definite asset to that board.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Item 26, make appointment to the Pilot Hill Board.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we appoint Megan Hayes to Pilot Hill Incorporated Board of Directors.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion?
And maybe the fact that we make appointments to the board, even though it's a private board, is a connection, you know, but does that make sense?
We'll add it on my list to look into.
Moved and seconded. No further discussion. All those opposed, all those in favor signify by saying aye, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
What private
Motion
nonprofit
carries.
board have you ever heard of that has, that's constituted of appointees from, you know, a city or a county or a university? It doesn't happen very often.
Yeah, yeah. Well, not many that I'm familiar with have responsible for the lease of a county or a state. Like,
Right.
for instance, we at the downtown clinic have a board of directors, but we don't have any lease at any, but we still carry our liability. We have to carry liability every nonprofit has to, so, or should have. So. 27, request permission to start the process of putting the health insurance out to bid. Doesn't look like Bob Decker, but thank you, Amanda, welcome this morning.
Hello, good morning, commissioners. We just want, as the health insurance management team, want to request permission to put our health insurance out for bid to see if we can get some better rates. We've had a really good couple years with claims wise, and usually that's the best time to go out for bid, according to our awesome consultant, Bob Decker. So that's that, I guess.
Any questions, commissioners?
Well, and to be clear, we are self-funded and we have our own plan documents. This is just going out for bid for the plan administration.
And stop loss.
Oh,
yep.
right. And stuff.
Both of those plans.
I entertain a motion for item 27.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we grant permission for the health insurance management team to start the process of putting health insurance out to bid.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign.
So it has occurred to me, this is more about stop loss maybe than it is about the basic plan administration. Because
That's a
stop
big
loss is
part.
based on claims.
Mhm. Yep.
So if we've had a couple good years of fewer stop loss claims, then we might get a better rate.
Yes.
Yeah, the one meeting I sat in, doesn't make you an expert, but it was both of those. He was a company doing the administration and stop loss. So, yeah. 28, set special meeting to appoint county and prosecuting attorney. So just a little bit of the timeline, if I understand it, the Democratic Party has until Wednesday to forward us the 3 names. I think they have only 3 names. And so I think that can happen at any point. We have 5 days. I think it's not 5 business days, it's 5 days. Between the time we get it to the time we have to have a meeting and select. So Wednesday, 5 days makes it Monday. I'm hopeful that that would be adequate. I mean, nobody wants to meet on a Sunday, or, yeah, it'd have to either be Sunday or Monday, so.
Well, it's nice they didn't hand it to us on Tuesday.
Yes, yes, yeah.
Right.
And just personally, I'll be traveling Thursday through Monday. They'll be back Monday early afternoon.
So you're saying that they haven't sent it to us yet?
Not yet.
I thought that we had received it.
Not yet. They have until Wednesday the deadline for them is Wednesday.
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Yes.
Yes. So that would give us Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we would have to have a meeting.
Did you say you're traveling through Monday?
Yeah, but I'll be here early afternoon on Monday.
Gotcha. So we could do that.
So we could do Monday afternoon, Monday evening. I can join by phone also, so I don't want to.
The earlier, the better for me.
On
Monday.
On Monday?
Well, I'm happy to come in on Saturday morning.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be aware that in your resolution, you have to give the applicants 2 days to submit before your meeting their resume. And you also will have to have.
It's about as compressed as.
Right, this
can be.
Can be.
There needs to be statutory relief on this, I'm certain of it.
Well, it could at least be 5 business days, not 5 I don't know, calendar days.
That would make a huge difference. Will you be out of sorts on Monday afternoon, evening?
I can make myself available. I too is going to be out of town.
Okay. Well, we can do this, I mean, I can appear remotely, certainly. And I'm more than happy to do that. The process the last time, so I'm a veteran of one, was the people came in, we asked questions independently of each one. And then we went to executive session and discussed those pros and cons. And then we came out and of course we have to vote in public for the county attorney. So yes, and it took probably 2 to 3 hours last time, if my memory serves me correctly. So.
Well,
What's the earliest you could be available in person?
I think I get to Denver at 11 a.m.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'll be by phone, just driving. Yeah.
so I guess, do we need to, since we're not in receipt of it, then I guess we know that since tomorrow is the deadline, we have to set it.
Yeah, so if we get it today, we'll set it for Sunday, I guess, and if we get it tomorrow, we'll set it for Monday. I guess we could do that.
Well, I will make sure that I'm available for whenever we set it. And I'm okay with the chair setting it. I mean, I don't know that we have to do that by agreement among, can the chair just set it?
I would say, I don't know that you have to do it by agreement, but we do have to run it as a special meeting.
Right.
So long as we publish it and do all the things, whatever you guys end up, not even me, whatever you end up telling Jackie to
So
do,
I
she will
guess
get it published because she's
My
amazing.
question is, can the chair just set the meeting and invite the other commissioners, or do we have to set it right now? Because by vote, do we have to set the time for the meeting?
I don't know the answer to that, but I would think for the sake of not making it as problematic to get it published and advertised and all of those things, we should maybe, and Jackie can correct me if I'm wrong, we could say if we receive it today, we're meeting on Sunday at whatever time, or if we receive it Wednesday, we're meeting on Sunday at whatever time. And then whenever it's received, Jackie and her office can get the notices published, and then you all will know one way or the other, as will staff and everybody else who has to as well as the applicants who
Sure.
generally want to appear either virtually or in person to do their interviews with you. So I think the more certainty we can do today is probably better for everyone involved. But you're the commissioners, you can pretty much do whatever you want, I think.
Virtually. Anytime.
Yeah, get my flight details here so that I believe it's 8:30.
Pretty tough to attend if you're in the air.
Right. But I think that allows you to get, unfortunately, the hour. So that's 9:30. Probably around noon is when I'll be in Denver. So
That's from Monday. Are you?
Sunday.
It should be Sunday. You can.
Yeah, Sunday I do anything remotely at any time. So whatever anybody wants to do on Sunday, if we were to get the.
So Sunday could be easier.
Could be.
I think because you guys have the constraints, you should work it out, and I will be I'll be wherever I'm
Are you
supposed to be.
intending to do it remotely either way? Cheaper or?
No, I would come here, but
even on
if
Sunday?
it turns out to all be remote, or if I'm down here with, whoever our staff is here, Jackie or whatever, I hold down the fort.
Yeah,
It's fine.
I can be present in person on Sunday. Monday is a little bit more different.
And I just need to correct myself. The resolution states that the applicants do have to be here in person. So whichever day you set it, all three applicants will be here in person. The three of you can appear however you need to appear, but the resolution requires the applicants to be in person.
So if it comes in today, Sunday morning or afternoon works better for you guys and you guys, meaning you, Jackie, and I'm guessing Adam's crew. Would you rather Sunday morning or Sunday afternoon, Adam? Okay, Jackie. So let's just set it Sunday afternoon.
Let's go 2 p.m.
2 p.m. All right, Sunday at 2 if it comes in today.
Well, and to be clear, that's our deadline, right? We can move it up. Can we not? So we wouldn't have to have a contingent set date.
Correct.
If we decide when it's going to be, and actually, it's better if only. I mean, then Pete's not traveling; he's wherever he is.
Right. That's true.
It's less problematic on Sunday than it is on Monday.
5 days is your deadline, so you can certainly set it at 4 days because that still gives the applicants their 2 days to get you the information and then gives you some time. Even if we don't get the names until tomorrow, that would have them giving you information by Saturday morning or whenever, so you could review it before the meeting on Sunday.
They, meaning the nominee, shall provide the county clerk a copy of the resume of the nominee's educational and work background, along with the written response to the following questions at least 2 days prior to the scheduled special meeting of the board.
So that would put
how many questions do we send them?
So there are 10, or there are how many? 7 in the resolution. And then the resolution says that each of you gets 10 comments, either called from public comments or your own, that you can ask each of the 3 applicants. And Jackie mentioned with the last round, each of the commissioners submitted their questions to Peg and she sent them out. We don't have to do that. If you would like me to do that, I'm happy to.
Oh, you mean we sent them before we asked them, so they were prepared to answer.
And so
we don't cold ask them.
No, I don't think, I think
we don't have to do that.
I think we didn't cold ask them. My guess was that it was in case one of you had questions that was similar to the other one, you could get a response back that said, like Sue could send them to whomever or to all 3 of you or however we need to do that, but that gets a quorum and that's a problem. Or they could go to Jackie's office with the 10 you'd each like to ask and she could reply back to each one of you and say, your question for is similar to another commissioner's, please come up with a different question or something along those lines.
So if we each ask 10 questions and they have to answer 7 in the application, that's potentially 37 questions per. If I had a question prepared and one of you asks the same, I wouldn't want to think of another question. I would be perfectly happy to let one drop off the list. Does that make sense? So,
As would or I might have conjured something up. And
Sure.
so I don't need to worry about it.
And
So,
I
yeah.
misspoke again. The resolution says 10 questions from the board as a whole
gotcha.
and not 10 from each of you. I thought last time we did 10 from each of you, but I was wrong. Sorry.
So even with 10, that's 17, you give 2 to 3 minutes, that's an hour.
Right.
For each person, if you went to the full 7 plus 10. Well, the 7 are written, you don't have to ask them.
They are, I think you will ask them just in person when they're here, but those are the 7 that the applicants know are being asked. And then there's the 10 that are the random ones that you pick based on what comes in from public comments or what you each believe is important to be asked.
And from where did the 7 originate?
The 7 were originated generally from the process that we used when we selected the sheriff. There was some modification made to be more specific to an attorney applicant rather than a sheriff applicant. But other than that, they're fairly standardized questions about just those general interview questions to get that general information in front of this board.
And then our list of questions drills it down and
correct
would hopefully help us distinguish between one candidate and another.
Correct.
So we need to come up with the list and we need to do it fast.
And I think we could send them in and have somebody pitch out the ones that are similar.
Yeah.
I don't know that we have to have them respond to all 7 plus 10, right?
No.
I'm all in favor of them responding to 7, and then we should be able to ask them 10 that they're not prepared for because
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't necessarily think we should send them. It's a person ought to be able to, otherwise it'll be too canned.
Exactly.
Right? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, do you want the thesis, defense answer to all your questions, or do you want to know who the person is?
How do you think I feel?
Right.
And then I guess if we were to do that and did it today, I mean, we could host it Saturday also, if that was more amenable to people's schedules, because if we said that today, then that would give them, they know the 3, we can send them the questions. That gives them the rest of today, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to complete those 7 questions. So.
Questions 2 days prior.
Oh, okay.
So if you have Saturday, by Thursday, they have to have their responses.
Okay. Yeah, so it makes no never mind to me Saturday or Sunday. It seems like Sunday's a better day.
Yeah, I agree.
I actually like the idea of just setting it on Sunday for the reasons that Keeper presented. We'd both be in person and you'd be not in the air or trying to do it.
Yeah.
Just
virtual Pete.
Well, I'm imagining that a Monday travel day is stressful for you. And, to have things happening around you when you can sit quietly wherever you are, even if it's cutting into your personal time. I guess that's how this is.
Yeah.
But,
right. Yes.
I apologize, Jennifer. If I continue reading the resolution, it says that the board will accept potential questions from the public. Questions may be submitted to the county clerk 2 days prior to the scheduled special meeting of the board. Prior to the interview of the nominees, each board member shall select 5 additional questions from the questions provided by the public to be asked of each candidate, which additional questions shall not be disclosed to the public or nominees.
Wow.
So there's conflict between the number of questions.
Right.
So each of us get 5 from whoever contacts us with their questions.
Which makes it 15 minutes. Given that there's confusion, we could make a motion to amend that resolution to be whatever we like it to be.
Well, and ultimately, the questions come from us. We're just getting them.
From the public.
We filter them
Right.
from the public, right?
Right.
I'm all in favor of amending it to fewer questions.
Yeah,
I agree.
each or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
What's that resolution? So given the confusion, Commissioner Gosar, Chairman Gosar, if you would like to entertain a motion to amend Resolution 2021-015 to have it say 10 questions in total from the board rather than 15, where it would be 5 each.
Yeah. Or would you like to say 9?
I was gonna say
That's
that.
three of
Yeah.
us.
I was gonna say whatever number you like.
I would entertain that motion to resolution 2021-015.
I make that motion.
Okay, adding 9 additional questions, 3 from each commissioner to the list of questions for the Sunday, May 20-something meeting? 23rd meeting at 2:00.
So,
But will not be questions given in advance to the candidates.
Right, yep, right.
so the motion is, are we doing this in 2 separate motions? I think her motion is just to amend the resolution as to be 3 questions from each commissioner.
Correct.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, all those opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
And then, Mr. Chairman, I move that we set our special meeting to appoint the county and prosecuting attorney for 2 p.m. on Sunday.
May 23rd.
Yeah, Sunday, May 23rd. I guess I mean 2021.
A second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye, all those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Sorry, staff, about that. For the Sunday meeting, we're just gonna get the cots here eventually, right? We're just gonna.
It's actually a little better because then it doesn't take up your whole day of the stuff you have to do on Monday.
Okay.
Mhm.
And so I guess just to make sure that we don't ask the same questions, could we send them to somebody to just say, hey, those are different questions, or this is similar? Who would you like that to be, Jennifer?
Yeah, in case there's some legality to the question we're asking.
That's fine with me if you'd like to email them to me.
Okay,
Okay,
and I can get those to you tomorrow.
Okay, whenever you get them, as soon as I have all of them from everybody, I will respond back to each of you individually and let you know yay or nay on your 3.
okay, super.
And any comments or questions that we receive from the public, Jack, you'll forward out. Because we have to, the resolution says at least 2 days before, so we'll probably need to wait then until Friday to see what comes in from the public before you submit your 3 each.
Okay, and right.
And I think that one's beaten up fairly well.
Sorry about that.
No worries. I do have, just remembering Roy's conversation in public comment about extending the procurement for cleaning. I'm not sure if we need that for engineering and auditor RFPs, but how would you like to have that done?
For the ones that have not closed yet, we can just do an addendum and send it out to everybody. And even for the ones that have closed, I believe we can do an addendum to extend that time. I can check with Amy and the drug court team to see if they would like an extension of time, especially for the ones that they didn't get responses to. So if that would be agreeable with you, we can do all of those through addendum. So we don't have to go out and republish.
Okay. Commissioners, are you all right with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
And are you thinking 2 weeks? Would you add 2 weeks? What would you think?
That would be my thought. If we add 2 weeks, that gives us, we could then, whatever ones we get done, we could get on the mid-June agenda and still have them in place by the end of the month.
Okay, and does that cause us any problems with Bill leaving or the auditor contracts?
All of those contracts go through the end of June.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I guess I probably need a motion for that.
Do we want to do it in 3 motions, each naming the specific RFPs? Or is it appropriate to extend all of them in a single motion? Sometimes it's better to do things in their own.
It might be better to do each of them individually. And if that is the case, we have the civil service or the civil engineering RFP. We have the Albany County Court Supervised Treatment Program drug testing RFP. We have the RFP for the audit services for the county. We have the RFP for group treatment for IJTP participants. We have the RFP for individual treatment for IJTP participants. And we have the RFP for the psychiatric nurse practitioner, the psychiatric nurse practitioner services for the court supervised treatment programs.
And the cleaning.
And the cleaning ones.
So what are we up to?
That's a lot.
7.
Sure. The ones that we've received bids in for, those are public, so how do we extend those out? And somebody may come back with a lower bid to be out, I guess, to me, I feel like, don't we have to accept them or reject them and then re-advertise, or do you not? I guess I don't know.
I was gonna say, so that
Have
is.
we not revealed? I don't think we've revealed any of the figures.
We have bid opening, which we've done bid openings for.
Group, for individual, the psychiatric nurse practitioner, and the civil engineer.
For the civil engineer. So for those 4, we have a response for each of them. I don't know, I have not been part of the evaluation of any of those responses. We could get back to you. Could we add an agenda item to our meeting on Sunday where I can just give you a quick update on all of them? And between now and the end of the week, I will reach out to all of the people who put those out, the ones that we have already received responses for, and see if they're comfortable with what we have received or if they would be more comfortable with rejecting those and then putting it back out to RFP, which is allowed under the terms of each of those RFPs.
Yep. Mr. Chairman, what's interesting is that it can really bother a bidder when a government entity goes back out for bid. It can really bother. They say, hey, I gave the best bid in the spirit of having competition and the fact that there is none. That, you know what I mean? So that it can be assumed that the bids are competitive because they don't know if they're bidding against 2 or 5 or 10, right? And
I agree.
Things get super funky when you've already opened bids.
I think for each of the departments, the evaluation would have to be more along the lines of, are the bidders able to meet the terms of the RFP sufficiently to provide the services? And if they are, then I agree. I think we have an issue if we go back out and rebid it, just perception wise.
Right.
But if, and I haven't looked at any of them, so I'm not passing judgments on any of them, but if the single bidder that we have doesn't adequately meet the terms of the RFP, then the problem becomes.
So we could throw somebody's bid out and start the process.
Correct.
But that's not the same as that's different than rebidding just because we want more responses.
Correct. So it would have to be based on whether the responses adequately address the needs of the RFP, not whether or not we just want more.
Yeah, so let's handle the 3 we don't have a bid on, the auditor, cleaning, and the drug testing, if I've got those correct.
Correct.
And then here, And then we'll get a report on
I will.
Sunday.
Follow up with those others before the end of the week and report
Okay.
back on Sunday.
So I entertain a
Jennifer,
motion.
can you please enumerate those on Sunday specifically?
I will
what
get a cover sheet for each of them into Jackie's office so that you won't have to be frantically writing down as I rattle off all the RFP names. Sorry.
So I'd entertain a motion for, to extend the RFP for the auditing contract for Albany County.
I so move.
For our auditing RFP, excuse me,
And so we're extending the deadline by 2 weeks.
by 2 weeks.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. I'd entertain a motion to extend the RFP for the Albany County cleaning services.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we extend the RFP 2 weeks, 14 calendar days from the original deadline for the cleaning contract.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Finally, I entertain a motion for the Albany County. There's a bunch of letters before that, but it's drug testing for the juvenile. Is it just drug court or what is it?
It's for the combined drug courts.
Okay, for the combined drug courts, drug testing services.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we extend the RFP response deadline by 14 calendar days for the specialty courts drug testing program.
Moved, is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded it. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. And so that leaves us with the civil engineering, the group IJTP, the individual IJTP, and the psych NP for Sunday. Okay, great. Item 29, approved payroll and vouchers for May 2021.
I move that we approve the payroll and vouchers for May 2021.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. But before we go, it looks like we have former Chairman Tim Chestnut in the house.
I'm just here to show you how boring my life.
Dang it, I was hoping you'd have some words of wisdom for us.
Absolutely not. My wisdom left at 59.
Okay, okay. Yes, sir.
Yeah, bring it.
Sure. Please.
Sorry, thank you for just letting me have a quick minute here. I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention. On my way out to Road and Bridge this morning, working on an issue out there, I did notice that the city fire department is building on their training facility there, right off the viaduct. My current worry is the facility is in direct alignment with our current microwave connection to that site, which could possibly, if the building's tall enough, block said connection to the site, which also feeds your search and rescue and your fairgrounds facilities. So I'm bringing that to the attention. We're still investigating. I do know that they're building a larger structure. I did get some height information from the city planner. So I'm trying to see what our alignment's like going forward, but there may need to be some sort of push for some different connection set or resort there if it's going to be in interference.
Funny, nobody would ever think about that. Right. It's not in the checklist when you approve a project like that. And ultimately, I suppose it's easier to move it kind of
And
move the foundation of a building that's already poured.
It is a licensed microwave connection. I am not aware if there's any FCC regulations in terms of airspace and air directional space in those regards. Between that, like, I doubt it. I'm going to say probably not. It's more like you're invading on our spectrum, things along those lines. But I just want to make it, I wanted to make the commission aware as it became my attention this morning. And I will update you as we continue forward, but there may need to be a push in one direction or another, okay?
Yeah, and that just brings another item that we've been working on as far as adding to the website, something loosely termed opportunities in Albany County, where we would have RFPs listed, boards and commission listed, openings and vacancies and positions listed. So we could have a one-stop shop with the links to those jobs. So hopefully the thought would be opportunities. You'd go to engineering contract, there would be a link, you'd hit the link, and that would be the application document. That way it'd be maybe a little more straightforward and a little easier, hopefully to get people to understand where to go.
So that would take a lot of pressure off the county clerk's office, where we've been doing it old school for a long time.
We could publish the RFPs on that, and then they
Yes.
wouldn't have to email Jackie to get them.
Yep.
We could do a lot of different things. That would be nice.
Yes, Adam. Sure.
Adam's like,
This is like good of the order.
Right, yeah.
So in regards to what you're mentioning there, Pete, another thing I'd like to mention is we have the new engineer coming on, or even just us looking at forward. I would like to see us push in a perspective of trying to publish out on some of the globally recognized and free RFP sites, such as, Public Purchase or OpenGov or something along those lines. All of which is us as a consumer, and the end base is essentially free. Just comes down to the management and the time invested into that. So if we wanted to pick as an organization to go to one of those platforms and utilize it, it may help dramatically in terms of your bids received and I guess, getting the word out. The page will help there, but combining on those platforms, I would highly recommend.
Awesome. Well, I'd be interested in your perspective at some point, Adam, about which platform or which platforms we should engage in, because it just is how people are getting their information, and we just have to move to that. Yes. Thanks. Okay. Seeing no more business before the county commission, I adjourn the May 18th County Commissioners regular agenda. Thank you so much, everybody, and thank you out there for paying attention and staying with us. Have a great afternoon.